Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Good Time Movie Reviews. I'm Wyatt. That's JP. We are here to talk about Mission Impossible: Final Reckoning. I just got out of the movie theater, met like 3 hours, 2 hours ago, 2.5 hours ago. Watched it at 10 a.m. with one other person. It was a fantastic viewing experience. I had some breakfast tacos. They were fantastic. I'm still kind of grappling with this movie a little bit. I don't know. Where do you stand with the Mission Impossible franchise going into this movie? Are you like a diehard fan, or are you just I watch all the movies? Where are you with it?
My first one was seeing Fallout in theaters, so I started off on the right foot, maybe too much of the right foot. I've seen all of them except for 2 and 3, which is a little
Okay.
frustrating with the new one that I haven't seen 3.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So you might hate me for this. I have only seen Fallout, the last one before this,
Okay.
like the part one,
Yeah.
and this one, I think those are the only ones I've seen.
So you've only seen, the Christopher McQuarrie ones. That's the
I guess
director, I
so.
think.
I get
He
I
also
don't
did
I'm not even
Rogue
sure.
Nation. He did the
I
last
didn't see that
4.
one.
Okay.
Okay, so that's where I'm
Interesting.
coming into this movie, which is gonna
Okay.
be very interesting when we talk about this movie because obviously it is paying homage to 30 years worth of movies
I would
for
say too much.
a
It's
majority of the film is
yeah.
that, which is something we can talk about, but, I where do you wanna start with this movie? Do you wanna talk about how it's just calling back to a lot of movies, or
I
what's
wanna
kinda your
start
entry
with
point?
what the hell you think this is.
Just in general, the movie?
Yes. Yes, this movie by
It is.
itself, almost 3 hours long, you saw it at 10 AM.
Yeah. I It's an attempt at a love letter to a franchise that I don't care too much about. That's how I
Okay.
would put it.
Okay.
Where I'm not that if I was fully into this world, as I'm sure some people are, I
Yeah, oh
don't
yeah.
think it's obviously as big of a pull. Like if you're like ranking franchises, you have your comic book lore, which is I feel like its own level. Like Lord of the Rings is probably up there.
Yeah.
Star Wars
Oh
in
yeah,
terms of
that's
fan bases, and then the
the big
step
one.
below, I think, is like the Jurassic Park and Mission Impossible. I feel like they're a tier below in terms of just like
Yeah.
fan bases and like cultural like people care about these movies. So
I
I don't know if it.
that's a good ranking of it because this
Yeah.
doesn't have no spin-offs, no TV
Mhm.
shows. It's just these movies, very linear.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this, and I could be so off base here, but I don't know if this franchise has earned this type of movie where it's a similar like idea where like an Endgame where it's wrapping up so much into one
Mm.
movie, where Endgame by itself as a movie, if you go in and I don't care about Marvel, whatever, it's a little sloppy.
Yeah.
Where this movie kind of falls in a similar boat where it's sloppy a lot and it calls back to so much that you have to know about, and it does like help you. It flashes back a ton and like gives you the
Mhm.
context you need.
Yeah.
I just don't know if it's earned enough, and I could be way off here. I don't know.
Yeah, how do I respond to that? I it's like I almost disagree with you, but I know
Okay.
exactly what you're saying. Is I think this movie doesn't deserve the franchise that it's wrapping up.
Interesting.
This is again, have not seen 2. 2 is like the bad one. A lot of
Okay.
people skip 2. This is probably the weakest entry into this franchise besides 2. That's a bold take. If you look at,
Okay.
like, the critics, yada, yada, they're saying it's good. I think they just liked the ending. Um, the first hour is bad. It is rough, and, again, I think comparing it to Endgame is actually pretty smart because Endgame had a lot to pay off, build up of I mean, we're at like 36 MCU movies now. I don't know where we were with Endgame, but like,
Like 25, something like that.
yeah, but like a full decade of content, and they're like, we have to pay off all this stuff, and they did. They honestly did.
It's insane.
This movie pays off, tries to pay off 30 years, a 30-year franchise, and the franchise is built on you don't have to watch the other movies. You can just jump in. Fallout, you can just
Mhm.
jump in. They mention he has a wife, but they're like, this was his wife in a former mission. Okay, that's all you need.
Mhm.
This movie's like, psych, all those movies are important, especially these two that are over 20 years old. And it's like, screw you. That comes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And the fact that they don't even trust you to have seen the first, the third, or even the one that came out the week before Barbenheimer, because that's why the edit of this movie is so discombobulating, and a
Yes.
lot of studio interference is because Dead Reckoning Part 1, which this was supposed to be Dead Reckoning Part 2, which is a much better title than The Final Reckoning. Dead Reckoning is a much better title. That movie flopped really hard because Tom Cruise loves IMAX screens. IMAX loves him, but not as much as Christopher Nolan. So when Barbenheimer happened, he was like a sacrificial lamb. Like, we're
Yeah.
sorry, you have one of the biggest franchises in Hollywood. Uh, you're cast aside. You saved us during COVID. This is gonna save us now. And so the Final Reckoning is like, no one saw that movie. So for the next 40 minutes, we're going to try to explain to you everything that happened, except that his girlfriend died, Rebecca Ferguson. That
Yeah.
was a big deal of Dead Reckoning, and they're like,
Yeah.
we're not even going to mention it. Haley Atwell's here. She's her replacement. She's going to be the love interest in this one, which I'm fine with in Dead Reckoning, but she barely does shit in this one. So it's like, I want Rebecca Ferguson back.
Yeah.
So that first hour was rough, and they kill off a character in, I would say, the first 15 minutes, and it's very poorly done. So I'm sitting here kind of twiddling my thumbs like, when should you actually walk into the theater? 20 minutes of trailers, the first hour is really rough. I would say if
Yeah.
you still haven't bought a ticket yet, look at the screen time, buy the ticket beforehand, and just go an hour after. I'm not kidding.
At what point in the I'm trying to think at what point in the story are you popping in?
When
Is
he
it
gets
when
when he gets to Mount Virginia,
Yes. Yeah,
I
he's meeting the
that's
president. Yeah.
that's when the real movie starts. And
Yeah.
yeah,
No,
like,
you're not wrong at all.
I
It's
have
just
so
very
many
interesting.
comments about how they filmed it, how they edited this movie, but I truly think the movie starts when they get to Mount Virginia. Cause like this movie, they tried to film it back to back with Dead Reckoning Part 1, which is now
Mhm.
just called Dead Reckoning. They tried to film it back to back. There were a lot of COVID issues on set for these productions. There's an audio file you could find online of Tom Cruise yelling at his
Is that from
crew.
this?
It's from Dead Reckoning.
Really?
Yes.
I thought that for some reason in my head,
No,
that's
it's
from
from
so
Dead
long
Reckoning.
ago,
Yeah. Yeah.
but wow.
It's because some crew members got COVID and they had to shut down production. And Tom, he puts his own money into these movies. It's why he almost dies every time he films this, because no other producer would be like, "No, I'm not gonna put you on that plane." He's like,
Yeah.
"I'm gonna put me on that plane. Here's my money." That's how he does these movies. So when crew members get COVID and he has to shut down production, that's like millions of dollars for like delaying everything a week. It's a whole mess.
Yeah.
And so that happened with Dead Reckoning, and I think that kind of pushed back the planning of this one. So that might have added to the $400 million budget of this movie. $400 million. So you had COVID problems. Then you had the writer's strike. And then you had Barbenheimer destroying the first one. So now shit. No one saw the first movie. We got to do we have to restructure this whole thing. Not to mention these movies what they do is they think of the stunts and the set pieces
Yeah.
first. They film the set pieces while they're writing the script. So if something bad happens, oh, we could just rewrite the script, but that adds time on your production days.
Yeah.
So
I just these movies are so interesting to me
they're
because
insane. They're
I
insane.
just it's very different than some of the other movies we have reviewed here. And
Yeah.
obviously we've talked about like different franchises with Marvel and everything, but I just I kind of struggle with what the bar is for a movie like this. Like a Mission Impossible
Yeah.
movie in my mind, my roommate always refers to these type of movies as popcorn movies.
Oh
It's
yeah.
like
Oh yeah.
they're not it's not going to blow your socks off. It's not going to be like some mind like twister like I got to figure out this puzzle and it's not going to
Mhm.
like I don't know. It's just it's Tom Cruise doing cool shit.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
I'm part of me is like just okay with that. Like that's the movie. Tom
Yeah.
Cruise is going to do cool shit. I don't expect too much out of it and I'm
Yeah.
going to have a good time turning my brain off.
But
So like part of me
the movie is trying to convince you that it's more than that. And it's like,
that's the
shut
problem. Yeah.
up, movie. Get to the submarine. Get to the
Yeah.
plane. Get to
Yes.
why I'm here. This movie is 3 hours long. It's 2:49
Yeah.
with like maybe 9 minutes of credits. So it's like 2 hours and 40 minutes. And like there's like a 40-minute gap in between like a jailbreak, which is like a really half-assed jailbreak scene, and like a chase scene. I don't there's not even like a real chase scene in this movie.
Not really.
There's not a lot of action. So here's my
Yeah.
thing. This movie was trying to film in 2022, wrapped in like November 2024. This movie cost $400 million. It's not on the screen.
Yeah.
It's in production delays. It's in the cast. It's in uh re-edits. It's in studio notes. It's so convoluted. It's in the bullshit of a script. You don't see the budget on screen until 2 hours in. And that is not okay. That's bad.
Yeah.
Like at
Yeah.
least Top Gun Maverick, you saw the money on screen. If you watch Fallout, even Dead Reckoning, they film on location. They globe-trotting. They go to all these different countries because we need to film Tom Cruise dead sprinting in front of a landmark on every continent. Like that's what this franchise is.
Yeah.
So the fact that this movie isn't that, we have one shot of Tom Cruise running in front of the Big Ben. They ran out of money before they started filming this movie. The first hour, they're in bunkers, they're in hallways, and every camera angle is like a close-up of a actor's full face or a medium shot so that you could fit 2 actors in frame. That's it. There's no scenery. There's no wide angle establishing shots. There's no geometry to half of the fight scenes because they ran out of money. Like these
Yeah.
filmmakers are professionals. Fallout, Rogue Nation, and Dead Reckoning prove it. They know what they're doing. They can't afford to do what they want to do.
Yeah.
So it's like you're watching the film and it's like, what's missing here? All of the shit you came to see until the last like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
insane. It is insane.
Which kind of like you would think, oh, because it took so long to get to these big set action pieces, it'll at least pay off and like be correct. For me, let's talk about the two main ones. So we have
Yeah.
like the water sequence, underwater submarine,
Yeah.
and then you have the airplane.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the submarine first. For some reason, I don't know why, it could be a me thing. The water stunts and like that being a big set piece doesn't like get my heart racing like all the other
Really?
Like, the plane,
Okay.
for some reason I don't know what it is, but the
Okay.
water just takes me out of it. It's like, oh no, duh, he's not that far underwater. He's not 500 feet underwater. Like he's not
Yeah.
submerged like that. I can't suspend like the belief there.
Hmm.
So when he's on hanging from a plane, I can convince myself he's seriously
Yeah.
hanging from a plane because I've seen him
Yeah.
hang from a plane.
Yep.
Like, so I think that's
That's fair.
my one like not nitpick. It's just like my brain couldn't get there to like
Mm.
feel the nervousness and the anticipation of the
Yeah.
action like that. But I mean,
You
still
and you haven't
very
even
well done.
seen Rogue Nation.
No.
So there's a scene in Rogue Nation, I'm pretty sure it's Rogue Nation, where he has to break into like a vault or like a computer bank or something, and it's all underwater. So he has to hold his breath for like 8 minutes. That's why he held the record for the longest breath hold on screen before Kate Winslet did it for Avatar 2. Whatever.
Yeah.
It's a big dick measuring competition
Yeah.
when it comes to that. But that whole sequence in Rogue Nation, it's actually him swimming around. It's like a studio lot that they flooded with water. And
Mhm.
that's the same for this movie. It's actually him, and it's like a long take. It's really well. I think it's maybe a few takes stitched together, but the whole scene around him is CGI. So it looks really bad. It doesn't
Okay.
work at all. This movie, they built those rooms in the sub. Like the torpedo room, that was a
Yeah.
full-on set that they
It
flooded
looks.
and
It looked awesome. Like
and
it looked
rotated,
awesome.
and the
Don't get me wrong.
torpedoes are
Yeah.
falling. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So this submarine sequence is 10 times better than the Rogue Nation. I almost said Rogue One. Oh
Good one.
shit. Rogue Nation underwater sequence. So I
Okay.
saw it as this is a massive
Gotcha.
improvement. And
Okay.
also like no dialogue.
Yeah.
No music, no dialogue. And it's just a visual story the whole time. Like he says like torpedo tunnel.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's just like 2 words.
Yeah, and I think it's like it's pretty long. I think it's like a 10-minute sequence. Um but that when he got into the first submarine, there are multiple submarines. When he got into the first one and he's in the waves and the waves go up and they fall and there's like those dudes with the scuba gear behind him.
Yeah.
That was like the first shot in the movie where I'm like, finally, let's go. Like I'm
Like, let's
in.
buckle in. Let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the whole submarine sequence, I think people, I think you're saying it yourself, aren't going to be a huge fan of it. It revived me. Like the
Okay.
dude next to me was snoring. The guy next to me was on his phone for the full first hour. It was painful.
Yeah.
The second he's in the water, it's like, okay, here we go. Here we
Hmm.
go. The movie is starting. Yeah.
It wasn't until he ripped his suit off,
Yeah.
and that's when I like like I physically like stood up. I'm like, what the fuck? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
like what do we
Yeah.
do? I think I put my hands up. I'm like, what are we doing? Like, there's like,
You are in the Arctic Ocean
yeah,
in underpants. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, crazy. And then, yeah,
Yeah.
and then he like takes everything off, and I'm like, all right, this dude's dead. I did love the shot when they like flipped it. He floats up to the
Yeah.
water. That was
Yeah.
really cool. That
Yeah.
was like, all right, we're trying here. I
Yep.
like it. Um, And then the next big set piece action sequence is with after they kind of leave, there's a shootout at the bunker, the Doomsday bunker or whatever.
Yeah.
And then he follows Gabriel in the planes, and then he's just like
Yes.
in the air, just
Yep.
ripping dudes out of planes,
Yeah.
pilots, punching people, just climbing on planes. I'll say it, that rocked. It rocked. He's just
That
climbing on planes, just maneuvering in the air is pretty cool.
yeah, that is like the Fallout, he's like fighting Henry Cavill on a helicopter and they're firing guns at each other and all that stuff. That's like one of the best sequences in the franchise. This is the best. Like in terms of adrenaline, action, holy shit, they're actually doing this. How did they film this? How did they not die? This is as good as it gets. And it's so good, this like biplane fight, that I was thinking I was reminiscing of like Indiana Jones movies.
Yes, that's where my brain went. Yeah.
Like this is a better showdown than like 3 of the 5 Indiana Jones movies. It's
Yeah.
insane. Like if you I should say this. If you deep fake Harrison Ford's face onto Tom Cruise, that's an Indiana Jones movie. It's an Indiana Jones movie right there because he's throwing haymakers, he's ripping guys out of the planes.
Yeah.
He's scrappy with it. It's fantastic. He's wearing like the same coat. It's very similar. And the
Yeah.
fact that they kind of like one up the Indiana Jones franchise as this franchise's hopefully last movie, I gotta respect it. That's gonna be the best scene of the year. Like I'm already
Yeah.
saying it. The plane showdown is the best scene of the year. It kind of is a little
What?
awkward.
The sinner scene.
So yeah, so the sinner scene is like the best scene of the year. This is my thing. The best scene of the year. The Mission Impossible plane fight is the best like sequence. So it's multiple
Okay,
scenes put
okay.
together. But I don't want to call it a sequence because what's with the rest of the sequence? It's the president trying to figure out what city to nuke.
Yeah.
It's Simon Pegg and Haley Atwell cutting wires, which I'm fine with those two B plot and C plot. I'm perfectly fine with them. Gabriel, the bad guy, is pulling nukes out of his ass and just oh, you thought you're gonna get away with this? Psych! Here's a 50 megaton nuke right here. You have to
Yeah.
disarm it. What the hell? He's like, yeah, we're just hanging out in this like salt mine in South Africa. Boom, nuke. Now you got to
Yeah.
cut those wires. And so we have three characters that we very clearly have nothing to do. One of those guys, I don't know why he's there the entire movie. He does nothing. And so they're like, okay, we got to give these three characters a nuke to disarm. And so they're cutting wires, and the guy's like, I don't know what I'm doing. And he just starts cutting wires, like,
Yeah.
whoa. And his
Yeah.
wife is like holding the flashlight. And then the other dude that has done nothing the whole movie just holds a gun and
But
hovers over them.
yeah.
That's it. He doesn't
'Cause
do anything.
he says, "Oh, like, his lines are, "I couldn't help you in the, like, server room. I would be no help there." It's like, you're no help here either.
Yeah, yeah,
You're no
yeah,
help in either room right now. Like, I
yeah,
get you have to be in the room, so you have to have some kind of role, but, like, you
yeah,
aren't help in either situation right now. Just
yeah,
leave at that point. Get at least save yourself.
yeah.
I do I was thinking about this. We're talking about the last sequence. Does Tom Cruise say another word? So that plane, he starts running. After he starts running
Mhm.
and then gets in the plane, I don't think he speaks again because you go
No.
through that entire action sequence and then he lands and he has that handshake moment that where he just looks at each other. They
Yeah.
don't say anything. And
Yep.
then the final sequence, he doesn't say a word. He just looks at characters. The last 10 minutes, he's just looking at people and having closure that way.
He doesn't need dialogue.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was just
Yeah.
thinking about that. I was like, there's no like final send off, like I am Iron Man moment. Like, I am Ethan
Right.
Hunt. It's just, yeah, I did cool shit. Did you guys see
Yeah.
that? That was sick.
Well, I think it's Ghost Protocol that he gets like the briefcase to disarm the nuke and he's like, "Mission accomplished." Oh! And like literally in that movie, his best friend's like, "You said that you said mission accomplished. Are you serious?" So for this movie to be like, "We're not going to do that." He's going to be stoic. He's like basically God in this franchise now. He's
Yeah.
legit God at this point. Yeah. So it's just
There
like he doesn't need to talk.
another kind of wall break was Haley Atwell yelling at him. They're on some kind of aircraft character or carrier going to the bunker, and she was like, "You just needed it to say it was impossible. Maybe the what's it called? The entity. Maybe the entity is baiting you by saying it's
Yeah.
impossible." And they're using that as like an emotional beat, like as his character, like
Yeah.
I need the challenge. But for me, that was so funny because it was
Yeah.
just so on the nose of like this franchise. Um, yeah, it's just that was very comedic for
Yeah.
me.
The
Um,
franchise has been pretty tongue in cheek.
yeah.
Like it knows how to wink at the audience. Not this one.
Oh,
This one is like trying to be way too serious. I mean, literally the movie before this, Dead Reckoning, it's Tom Cruise versus AI. It's like, okay, we're talking about Hollywood. The last movie star versus everyone being unemployed by future tech advancements. And like the death of the industry is like the death of the world in this movie. It's like we get it. Like and
Yeah.
that kind of makes it more fun because it's like, okay, now there's like a weird subtextual emotional connection that is not in this movie at all. Hell, the entity is barely in this movie.
Yeah.
It's
It's
so
just
like
like this
off
dark
screen.
cloud that they just talk about. Yeah.
Yeah. It's this movie's a mess.
It's a messy movie. I have two kind of broader questions I want to ask you about.
Yeah.
You mentioned Indiana Jones, which
Mhm.
is kind of like my route to get here. How, in the grand scheme of things, how important do you think are the Mission Impossible films as a whole? Just in like the history of film, like that, this franchise, will it have any type of impact? Because like I think Indiana Jones is an interesting parallel where they're
Mhm.
not all great. And I
No.
obviously this is a step below. Like there's some Indiana Jones are like top tier movies. Um I just wonder like long term what effect and like how important are these movies to Hollywood, the film industry just in general?
I think they're super I think they're pretty important because not because the films themselves, but because of like who is making them. Tom Cruise would not be Tom Cruise without Mission Impossible. He wouldn't. Like he would be a star, but he would not be superstar. Like I think these movies get a lot of international appeal because again, it's Tom Cruise not talking a lot. He's on planes, he's punching people. So there's a lot of international appeal to that. It's very universal. Um I also think if we look at like the filmmakers, J.J. Abrams did the third one and he revived the franchise. So it starts with the first one's Brian De Palma, who's one of the greatest directors of New Hollywood. He did a lot. He did like Carrie, he did Blowout, he did a shit ton of good stuff. He did Scarface, the remake. And then the second one, I don't know the director. I think it's John Chu. I don't want to look it up. I don't have time.
I'll look it up for you.
And then that one people didn't like. So then the third one is really what the rest of the franchise becomes, and that's J.J. Abrams. And then
John
Chris
Woo. John Woo was
John Woo.
the
Yeah.
second one.
And then I don't know. I don't know who does Ghost. Oh, Brad Bird. Brad Bird did Ghost Protocol. Ratatouille, Iron Giant. He's a big animation guy, but he did Ghost Protocol. It's like, oh shit, he could do live
See?
action.
Incredibles?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Same guy that did
Yeah.
Ghost Protocol.
It's crazy.
Um, and honestly, that's a great comparison because it's like that's a very espionage heavy movie. Like I think Incredibles is a great movie, not because it's superheroes, but because it's spy espionage and
Mhm.
suave, exotic, thrilling mystery, all that stuff. And then after um Ghost Protocol, I think is Rogue Nation. So the rest of them are Christopher McQuarrie. So Tom Cruise kind of found a yes man director that would let him do crazy shit.
Yeah.
Like he climbed in Ghost Protocol, he climbed the Burj Khalifa, like the tallest skyscraper in the world. And that's the fourth
Crazy.
movie. And so when he got Christopher McQuarrie, he's like, I want to do even crazier shit. Hang me off of an airplane for 30 minutes. Like that kind of thing. So I think it's important for the people behind the camera and like IMAX. I know James Cameron did way more for IMAX than Tom Cruise, but it's if James Cameron was the only one that was like you have to go see this in IMAX, IMAX theaters wouldn't really be as big as they are right now. Tom
Gotcha.
Cruise is like up there as well for making that large format as big as it is, and Christopher Nolan. But the franchise is important.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
won't be forgotten, even though the finale, hopefully the finale, is like the one of the weaker ones. The franchise will be remembered.
Gotcha. And then along those same lines, we mentioned Tom Cruise. I think there's a pretty decent sized generation of film enjoyers who like a younger audience who know Tom Cruise because of Mission Impossible, and that's really
Yeah.
it. They conflate the two, and that's Tom Cruise, Mission Impossible. So where does he go from here? Because I mean, he wants to keep doing cool stuff. He wants to keep
Yeah.
making movies forever. He's a big champion of going to theaters. Obviously, he can't keep doing cool shit like this when he's 80 or like even he's like what 60 now.
He's old. He's
It's
65.
it's crazy that he's doing this, but like,
62. Yeah.
where does he go from here? Does he take more dramatic roles? Does he look for just like more ambitious projects? And like, even if he's not the main,
Mhm.
I'm Ethan Hunt, this is my movie. I don't know. Like, what do you see the future of Tom Cruise being here?
I mean, Tom Cruise has worked with like some of the greatest directors of all time. His spread is insane. And
Yeah,
he did multiple movies with Spielberg. I don't think he has time to go back to Spielberg, but he might go back and work with directors he's worked previously. I They're going to make a Top Gun 3. They're
yeah,
going to make a Top Gun 3. Um so that is probably the next movie, and he might drag Christopher McQuarrie with him. They might be the duos for all of his remaining movies. I don't know how I feel about that, but it's really more, these are Tom Cruise movies. These are not Christopher McQuarrie movies.
yeah,
Um he might do Les Grossman, who's the producer in Tropic Thunder,
yeah.
the Ben Stiller movie.
I saw him mention that.
He
Or
wants to do it. I think Ben Stiller does too. I think their schedules just have never
yeah,
worked, and it would have been like not a good return on investment, so it never got greenlit. I don't know. But now his schedule's free, so
yeah.
he might do it.
I could see him doing like a comedy like that just because I feel like doing these types of movies and including Top Gun Maverick in that, they
Yeah.
are event type movies. It has to take a lot out of you and just like the expectation of like this has to make a lot of money because it costs so
Yeah.
much to make. I think it was probably good for him to like, hey, let's just like take a step back. Let's do a fun comedy, like not worry
Yeah.
about box office too much right now, and just like enjoy that filmmaking process. Because I can see him just like chasing that high
Yeah.
continually, and it feels like he's been doing that, not in a negative way, because like just that's Tom Cruise, how his crazy brain works. But it's just gonna be very interesting to see what he does next. Again, you
Yeah.
probably will be Top Gun 3, but it'll be interesting to follow him post this franchise because I feel like that's just been a big part of him the
Yeah.
last 20 years.
Do you imagine him, can you see him in like a rom-com or like a political thriller anymore? Because that was like his
No.
bang back then.
Was he rom-com?
Yeah, he was with Renee Zellweger in oh my gosh, You Had Me at Hello.
Okay, because I
That's
think
not the title of it, but it's
Few
I'm
Good
gonna,
Men. I think Jerry Maguire.
I think that's what it is.
You think Jerry Maguire?
Yeah.
Is Jerry Maguire a rom-com?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
loosely. I would have to revisit.
Loosely.
I haven't seen that movie in a while, to be honest, but um,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know if I could see him going that route. I don't know because I haven't seen it in a long time. I haven't seen him use that
Yeah.
skill we all know he has. But
Yeah.
again, it's not to underappreciate what he has done because I think like for example, he pops up at the beginning of that movie and he's like talking to the audience. He's like, "Hey guys, thanks for coming out and like supporting this movie and seeing the big screen." At
Yeah.
least he did at my screening,
He did. Yeah.
and I found myself smiling. I was like, "Thanks, Tom. Like this makes me feel good." Like, oh, I'm here. Like you can tell he just cares so much about it, which like is unfortunately incredibly rare. So with all the faults of Tom Cruise, at least that's his heart's in it.
Oh, he's a passionate guy. This
Yeah.
is like the only thing he actually cares about. All of his like all of his like Scientology stuff, all of his
His
failed
kids.
relationships. Yeah,
Yeah.
all that he like, that it's a rocky road, but like this is the only destination every time is the next movie. It's all he
Yeah.
cares about.
Yeah. Which is it's something. That's all I want to say I have a few notes from this movie that are just unrelated, just kind of sporadic that I wrote down because I was in a theater by myself basically. There was one other guy. I was
Yeah.
able to like I jotted some notes down
Yeah.
in my on my phone. One thing I wrote down is Hannah Waddingham. That's her name, right?
Yeah, the
Waddington,
actress from
Ted
Ted
Lasso.
Lasso. Yeah. Yep.
Her accent work in this movie is crazy. She sound like it is so good. She sounds totally different. And you can there's
It's
no hint of like I'm doing like I
it's
am a British
very
accent.
similar. It's very similar to the Doctor Strange accent, where Cumberbatch is British. He sounds American, but he doesn't sound like he's from America. There's no locality in the
Yeah,
accent. It's just you've shaved off all the British
yeah.
quirkiness.
I just think it's
Yeah.
she has such a thick accent from
Yeah.
like Ted Lasso and like Fall Guy, and like you're used to that. So
Yeah.
it was almost jarring. I was like, whoa, that's impressive. I just wrote that down. Nick Swartzen, that's his name, right?
Ron
No,
Swanson?
is that who I'm thinking of?
Mustache?
Yeah.
Yeah, Ron Swanson.
Okay,
I
that's
think
that's
so.
his character.
Uh
That's a character
I
in
think
Parks and
you're
Rec.
right.
I
Parks and
think his
Rec.
name's Nick Swardson.
Oh gosh. Nick Offerman.
Oh, I'm thinking of the Minnesota Vikings fan, Nick Offerman.
Yeah.
But anyways, his death was just really funny to me. That made me laugh. It was just like a
I
comedic death.
I actually really liked that scene. Like it's kind of it's sandwiched between the plane and the cutting the
Yeah,
wire, so it's kind of forgettable, but the whole he's like asking a security guard, he's like, "Give me your pistol." And it's like,
yeah,
"Oh, this dude's like gonna be a bad guy."
yeah,
And then kind of like the honor duty like man, I don't even want to talk about the incel red pill bad guys that pop
yeah,
out of nowhere whenever the script gets bored. But one shows up and fires off and he pow pow. It's like
yeah.
that honestly, it's kind of hard to like pull that off where you think someone's going to be a bad guy and they have to end up doing the right thing at the last second.
Mhm.
I'll give the movie that they kind of did it well enough that it worked. Yeah.
She did though. He had like the Talia al Ghul from Dark Knight Rises death, where it's like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep my eyes and then have like one little moment. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, that's not how
Yeah.
people die. I don't think.
Yeah.
Um, But and then the last thing I wrote down is I thought it would be so insanely cool and kind of on brand for this franchise if, as they're talking about the which city we're going to sacrifice in the US, what
Yeah.
if they had like a different cut for every region they were showing this movie in? So like just in the background, it was like we're bombing Indianapolis,
Oh,
or
so we're
like
gonna piss off everybody?
yeah, no, just whatever city you're in, that's the city it shows that they're gonna bomb. So, like, I don't know how it would
That'd be
work, but
that'd be
I think it'd be
crazy.
really I thought they were
That'd
gonna
be
do
pretty
it.
funny.
I thought
Yeah.
they were gonna be like, "Okay, are you sure you wanna pull the trigger on bombing Indianapolis?" And it's, like, clearly dubbed over. It'd be really fun.
Let's settle with Fort Wayne.
Yeah, it's like, "Sorry, Gary, you're done."
Yeah. Yep.
But yeah, that was a funny thought that entered my
Like,
brain, but
Europe doesn't know Gary's already has no population. They're
yeah.
like, "Oh shit, they got rid of Gary."
Wow, they got their own. Whoa. Yeah, but anyways, I mean, it's a sloppy movie. I don't think
Yeah.
either of us are like gonna rate it really high, but
No.
it's the franchise, right? You
But
take what you can get out of it.
it has the best action scene of the year.
Yeah.
It's it's very frustrating that it's like, "This is great. After 2 hours, this is great."
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you wanna rate this movie? Where would you put it at?
I'm giving it a 5 out of 10.
Okay.
2.5 out
Yeah.
of 5. Yeah.
Um, I am gonna give it a 71 out of 100. It barely passes because of the last scene. It has a passing score. It was an attempt at a movie. Anything below a 70 to me is unwatchable. And I think never go watch it again. I could see myself throwing this on and watching the last hour and be
Oh,
like,
if it's on
yeah,
TV, it depends on where it is on TV. I'm watching it. I'm
yeah.
watching it.
I'll
Yeah,
throw on that
absolutely.
last hour. So I'll put it at 71. I may bump that down a little bit, but anyways, that's our review for Mission Impossible Final Reckoning. Next movie maybe what's coming out soon? F1's coming up.
F1's
Um
coming up. There's some smaller movie. There's a
yeah.
Wes Anderson movie coming out.
Oh yeah.
There's yeah.
Which that'd be fun to talk about because I don't Wes Anderson is kind of a blind spot for me. So
Okay.
maybe we'll talk about that one. But anyways, thanks for watching. See us next time.